We have been deprived of this opportunity to turn to a neighbor and to greet them in their inherent worth and dignity. But today we're back and we can do that. I'm Reverend Bob Renjilian, minister here at the Unitarian Universalist congregation here, and I use he, him pronouns. I am so pleased to finally have a live body to preach to. Those of you who watched last week online when we were closed saw me preaching pre-recorded from my hotel room. I don't like that. I'd much rather have this. So I'm so glad that you are with us. I have some very important announcements, and for 2 weeks, you really haven't been hearing these announcements. If you have a notepad, take it out now. All right, this upcoming Wednesday is the hymn sing at Wonderful Wednesday. So this is the place where, you show up and you sing. We had the doors open on both sides of the cabinets for hymn books. We've been asked to tell the ushers to have the doors open in case you like to grab hymn books on a Sunday morning. And so they have those available. But Wednesday, that's what we're going to be doing. And we have some folks who have said, these are my favorite hymns. We have to include these hymns. And so it's a big old sing-along. The meal part, we hope that you will sign up. There are, less than one table worth of people who have signed up because we haven't had you around for 2 weeks to be able to sign up. But the counter has to sign up, and they really need to start buying the food tomorrow for that. So I hope that if you want to come to Wonderful Wednesday, you will, in fact, sign up at the counter. If you're coming to the dinner, you don't have to sign up to come to the 6:30 hymn sing. Speaking of singing, I will be away on Friday. I have warned the Soul Matters discussion group that meets Friday afternoons that I probably can't help lead the group. I am going to be doing singing Valentines with my barbershop quartet on Friday and Saturday. And Friday, I'm singing up until mid-afternoon, and then I have to be changing outfits and dressing up for the Gay Men's Chorus Cabaret, which is that evening. Any of you who would like to have Reverend Bob or a not Reverend Bob person come sing to your loved one for Valentine's, there's a poster on the bulletin board. Or if you want a ticket to the Gay Men's Chorus Valentine's Cabaret, there's a poster on that too as well. But I just want to let you know I'm not available on Friday and Saturday because of singing. And that's rather unusual because I'm trying to be very available to people. All right, Interfaith Lecture. We are pleased to announce the first talk in this year's Interfaith Lecture Series, Beyond the Rainbow Bridge, Animals as Religious Subjects in Christianity and Buddhism, by our speaker, Professor Barbara Ambrose, Chair of the Department of Religion at UNC Chapel Hill. Her talk will explore how Christianity and Buddhism ritualize animals through blessings, funerals, and life releases. Examining creation theology versus karmic rebirth reveals how each tradition integrates animals into its life while maintaining boundaries between human and non-human beings. So this will be occurring on Sunday, February 15th, that's next Sunday, at 3:30, right here at UUTC. If you have seen an earlier poster that put it somewhere else in Brevard, at the last minute we have agreed to host it here. Yay, sound crew. Yay, everyone else, to make this possible so that this special lecture could occur here. And everyone is invited. The other thing I would like to do is talk about the monks for Peace walk that's going on. And we have a slide for that too. And Mark and Terry in the back row over here were in New Hope, Georgia last month, where the Monks for Peace walk was going from Texas to DC, and stopped a month ago. And now Mark notes they're on track to reach their final Washington, D.C. destination in the middle of this week on the 10th and the 11th. And the night of the 11th, they're holding a loving kindness meditation and are expecting 10,000 people to join. It will be a loving kindness meditation because when thousands of people come together and intentionally radiate love and compassion outward to the nation, to the world, it can truly make a difference. Mark is going to skip choir rehearsal and Wonderful Wednesday and gather with as many other people wherever in local locations people want to gather to do this loving meditation. And so Mark, wave your hand again in the back row. Talk to Mark, see the poster he's put up. There's so much more to say about this, and I believe Mark could spend an hour of coffee hour telling you exactly everything with it. But this is a lovely opportunity. Mm-hmm. You are so welcome, yeah. This is for the Next Steps weekend. And I'm gonna pull up, you're gonna have on the screen, but I'm also gonna pull up on here the Next Step Process Saturday workshop, Stewardship as a Spiritual Practice. And as part of our Next Steps Process weekend of activities, Reverend Lydia Ferrante Roseberry, our Stewardship for Us consultant, will lead us in a workshop on Saturday, February 21st from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. and all are invited to attend. I think I'm supposed to say out loud, you will not be asked for donations at the workshop. This is engaging to support us in understanding our individual and collective stewardship culture and practices as we chart a way towards our capital campaign. Remember, we've mentioned now and then that we might build on this land next door. This is part of that process. So please join us on Saturday, February 21st. It says it right on the screen. Refreshments from Blue Ridge Bakery. Wait a minute, where is she? Yay, yay for Blue Ridge Bakery. Childcare provided. You can contact the office and tell how many from your family are coming. There's a sign-up sheet as well to help us gauge just how many people we're setting up for, but we really would love for you to show up. Then Reverend Lydia will be in the pulpit with me on Sunday, and there will be a congregational report out to all of you after the service on Sunday. So it's a big deal weekend, and we just haven't been able to tell you about it the last 2 weeks because you haven't been here. But really, we hope that you will engage. If you are one of those people who got a special invitation to meet privately or in a small group with Reverend Lydia, please pay attention to that invitation. She really wants, she's already had a phone Zoom interview with me. Tomorrow she's going to have a Zoom interview with staff. She really wants to get to know us before she comes out and does this workshop. So I hope you'll pay attention to whatever you're receiving along those items. Let me see if there was anything else I had to. Those were the exact ones I was required to read this morning. And believe me, every person who was associated with every one of those announcements came to me 5 minutes before the service to be sure I was going to read you those announcements. So we will now enter into the beauty of the worship service led with the music provided by John Austin.
Good morning. I'm Sharon Gublow, your worship associate for this morning. The chalice lighting reading is by Jakaran, Ole Oya. Jakaran is a lifelong UU poet, writer, mixed media artist, and death and grief doula. As an earth-based African spiritualities practitioner with foundation in Christianity, she draws from the guidance of her ancestors for spiritual care. Let us read in unison. We light this chalice here in the darkness of winter as we wait. This temporary space is one filled with prayers to be answered, love to be given and received, miracles to be witnessed. May this light guide us until the light of the sun returns again.
For those of you who are new to us in this space, this is the point in the service in which we share those things that are on our hearts, so that maybe the joys or the sorrows that this community will now share with the glow of these lights and prayers. We have several candles, but I want to start as well with the rose that is at the front here, and from our chair of our Loving Hearts Care team, Christine, would you come forward?
The rose is for Tricia Parker. A lot of you may not have known her. She's been living at College Walk for a very long time. She's been a friend to many of us. She was very involved in supporting the democratic movement at all levels of government. She was familiar with what was going on and supported them, even though she was almost homebound by choice. We will miss her deeply. We send her our sympathies to her family. Tricia Parker. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine and care team, for this lovely tradition of presenting a rose in memory. I have not heard from the family whether a service is being planned at this point, maybe in the spring. Let's light a candle for Wayne Smith, who was in the ICU for a bit this week. Got to visit him. I understand he was able to go home. Now I have a candle of joy, and I didn't know if I was supposed to read the names out loud, but I talked to a family this week, and they had both had really good medical results come through for them. And so we light a candle for people who are having really great news. We have some that are written here as well. I will read from these. From Rick and Patty and Cora. They are welcoming an exchange student from Denmark and a student from Brevard High School. Welcome here. Loie lights a candle of gratitude for this community, and today especially for the 20 of us, she says, who will call tomorrow in the nationwide UU Ice Out campaign. We are love here at UUTC. And we ask that we please light a candle for Kathy Platt, Joan Tuffer's daughter, who is bravely fighting ocular melanoma. Let's light a candle for all the athletes at the Winter Olympics, knowing that they are being upstaged by so many pieces of news and distractions, and yet the wonder of the ways in which those athletes are supportive of one another across their countries. I saw the person who was bumped from a bronze medal to fourth place, 17-year-old American, in his heat, go over and do a fist bump with the person who had just knocked him out of the medals and got a hug back. I hope this candle glows for the spirit of the Olympic Games. And may we light one more candle for those things not yet shared, held in the hearts of all the people here. Let's remember as we talk at coffee hour or whenever we meet and greet one another to find out more of what's going on in our lives. And now a short prayer for all of these candles. Spirit of love and life, what has been lifted up here in the light and the warmth of these candles, may it be reverberating throughout our community. May we feel in this midst the joy of those who are with us, the wonder of being with one another, the uplifting feeling of knowing that something has gone well for us, and also the sorrows for those who are suffering. May we remember the love that radiates out in our actions in this world to make a difference, the love that makes a difference in the way in which we support one another, and also the love that helps us in our grieving over the loss of those who are no longer here, a part of our community. For all these things we pray, amen, blessed be. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all stirs of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the land, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
The opening words are by Laura Wallace. As frozen earth holds the determined seed, this sacred space holds our weariness, our worry, our laughter, and our celebration. Let us bring seed and soul into the light of thought, the warmth of community, and the hope of love. Let us see together, hear together, love together. Let us worship. The opening hymn is number 55, Dark Winter. The words will be on the screen.
Let
Good morning. My name's Kevin, and this is the Wisdom for All Ages story. And the theme for this month is resilience. And the story is potatoes, eggs, and coffee. Well, one day, a daughter was complaining to her dad just about how tough life is and how miserable she was. She felt she was struggling all the time, always working hard, but never really getting any relief. And she said that as one problem was finished or she was solved, another one would pop up. And she was just moaning and worrying and wondering if it could ever get better. Or her father, who is a chef, said, "Come with me." And he took her to his kitchen and he put on 3 pots of water. And I just realized that I have left my items for this there. So Virginia will take them over here. In the 3 pots of water, he put in one pot a potato. In the next pot, he put an egg. In the third pot, he put some ground coffee. And he set them all on a hot fire to cook. And after about 20 minutes, as the daughter was in annoyance, drumming her fingers on the table and waiting, he took them off the water and he put them all, the potato on a plate and the eggs in a bowl and the coffee he ladled into a couple cups. And he said, "Tell me, what do you see? What do you feel?" So she took a fork and she started mashing up the potato, and the potato fell apart right away. And he said, "What about the egg?" She let the egg cool a little bit. She took it and she cracked the shell, and the egg had become hard. And finally, he gave her the cup and said, "What do you smell?" And she smelled the good coffee, its essence filling her. And she said, "Oh, it smells like a good cup of coffee." He said, "Well, what happened here when all these things met the water, met the boiling water that is the heaviness, that is the oppression of our time, that is the struggle that we are in?" Well, with potato, if you boil it with that heaviness, with that oppression, with the struggle, it falls to pieces. It can't stand up to what is weighing down on us. But with the egg, crack the shell, it's a hard boiled egg. It hardens up. It's no longer fluid and able to handle what's before it. It becomes hard and maybe tough. And finally, with that coffee, everyone knows the difference between a cup of hot water and a cup of good coffee. The coffee absorbs the water and gives it its essence, makes it something that is desirable, is wanted, makes something that helps the world, gets us up and gets us going. It says how we respond to the oppression, how we respond to the boiling water that's in our life tells us who we are. So do we want to fall apart in fear with it? Do we want to harden up, become tough? Or do we want to give the world our essence like the coffee? And as you use, our essence is resilience, responding back and stepping back up when we get knocked down. Our resilience is solidarity with those who are being oppressed. And our resilience is leading the way forward in love in spite of all that's around us. So let's remember that in these days coming up. And we'd like to ask Sebastian Watkins to bring up our kids' candle, and then we'll sing the kids out. Peace be with you and our blessing. Peace be with you and our blessing as you leave us now.
We had a little note that just ran briefly last week that those of you who never got a chance to give something special to our last month's charity had a extra little bit to go online and donate. This month, we will have Sharon Moya come forward and tell us about Bread of Life and our special collection that is part of our usual collection.
I've been working with the Bread of Life for about 8 or 9 years, and so I've seen a few things. There are a lot of change been going on. If you came to a Wonderful Wednesday a few months ago, you know a lot about Bread of Life already. So you can sleep for a minute or two if you came to that. Otherwise, I'm going to give a brief description for people who didn't make it. First of all, it's a soup kitchen. It's our only soup kitchen in Brevard. And it provides meals 5 days a week to anybody that walks in, no questions asked. They also have a small supermarket, I guess you could call it, but free supermarket. They also give out meal kits every other week, 100 meal kits. 80 go out to Rosman and 20 stay here in town to be divided among families in need. Okay, that's the information. We have helped them a lot, and they still need more help. And here's where you need to wake up again. 6 months ago, we were making 80 meals. 3 months ago, went up to 100. We're now making over 265 meals a day. Okay, and that need is just tremendous. Those meal kits are 100 of everything, 100 cans of this, 100 cans of that, 100 bags of rice or macaroni, 100 meat, 100 vegetables that are going out. The need is tremendous. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. And the offering envelope in the collection basket is going to go directly to Bread of Life at the end of the month to help them with their cash needs. Anything that you place in the plates themselves goes to the good of this congregation. We will now gratefully receive this morning's offering. Thank you, Loie. Oh, and by the way, I introduce you to Virginia. Hi, Bruce. Good to see you today.
Hi, y'all.
what is given in love we receive with great joy. Thank you. How do you do this? I mean, we've got guests from another country even here. We've got people from all different backgrounds, have come from all different traditions. How do you move into a time that the order of service says, well, this is our time of prayer and meditation? You could use the big old 3 deep breaths, release the tension from your bodies. I had one Presbyterian minister say, feel your feet planted on the ground as if they have roots going down into the earth. But others who have said, I close my eyes and meditate. For me, when I was practicing Buddhist meditation very poorly, I found I had to keep my eyes open, walk backwards, and try to empty my mind. You can do that in this room if you wish, because we as Unitarian Universalists embrace whatever path you have come from and whatever helps you reach your spiritual wholeness. In that, I invite you into this time of prayer and meditation. Spirit of love and life, we're here in wintertime. For weeks, we've had our schedules thrown off by little bits of water and cold. We've had our lives thrown off by news stories of awful tidings from cities far away, from peoples who may not look exactly like us, or may indeed, but who are all, as we are called to recognize biblically, our neighbors. Spirit of love and life, we know that in each breath we take, we bring in the breath of those around us. May we take in love and support and exhale loving kindness and joy in a world in which we are always torn and busy. May we have some silence. In a challenging time in which we are finding it very difficult to ignore everything that tugs at us. May we take our deep breaths. May we remember that the plants know what to do in winter. To go deep. To stop trying so hard. To be able to make it. May we take this time in the silence with our meditations and our prayers. in the names of all those known and unknown and remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind, we say, Amen, blessed be.
Good morning. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. There is a hurting in my family, and there is sorrow in my town. There is a panic all across the nation, and there is wailing the whole world round. But I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. May the children see more clearly, and may the elders be more wise. May the winds of change caress us, even though they burn our eyes. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. Give me a mighty yoke to hold my confusion. Give me a desert to hold my fear. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder. Give me an ocean to hold my tears. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. So lift me up to the light of change.
Thank you, John and James. And always to John, yes. The reading I've chosen is from Gunilla Norris, and Gunilla Norse has published 11 children's books, 2 books of poetry, and 6 books on spirituality. Her parents were world travelers in the Swedish diplomatic corps, and so she says she grew up essentially in 3 places, Argentina, Sweden, and the United States, with a rich exposure to different languages and cultures. Self-described as a mother and grandmother and a psychotherapist in private practice for more than 40 years, she feels privileged to accompany many people on their journeys to growth and healing. She says her special love has been teaching meditation and leading contemplative meditation workshops of many kinds. Here is the reading. It is a paradox that we encounter so much internal noise when we first try to sit in silence. It is a paradox that experiencing pain releases pain. It is a paradox that keeping still can lead us so fully into life and being. Our minds do not like paradox. We want things to be clear so we can maintain our illusions of safety. Certainty breeds tremendous smugness. We each possess a deeper level of being, however, which loves paradox. It knows that summer is already growing like a seed in the depth of winter. It knows that the moment we are born, we begin to die. It knows that all life shimmers in shades of becoming, that shadow and light are always together, the visible mingled with the invisible. When we sit in silence, we are profoundly active. Keeping silent, we can hear the roar of existence. Through our willingness to be the one we are, we become one with everything. The sermon this morning is taken from our first hymn this morning, which isn't all familiar to us. Maybe we've sung it once or twice before in the time I've been here, Dark of Winter, and it's slightly throwing off offbeat syncopation. First one line that flows perfectly, and the next one seems to have more words than notes. But life is like that. The way we enter into wintertime traditionally would have been for agricultural communities to be exhausted at the end of harvest, to have come to the point in which we have our stores of food to keep us going through the bleak winter. Now, I know down here in North Carolina, winters are a little different from winters in other places. Florida was quite surprised with the winter they've just had. Example. New England, not so much. We may have very energetic figure skaters who have trained for years to be able to do a backflip in the midst of what they're doing on the ice. We may have people who have learned how to snowboard, going down hills and jumping off of rails. But most of the people I'm looking at right here would not dare try such things. Most of us are smart enough to tread carefully when there is snow and ice around us. Most of us understand the hibernating bears. Most of us would love the chance to just crawl under the covers and let everything go away for several months. Sometimes we feel that way even when it isn't winter. But winter kind of makes that possible. It's 7 at night, it's dark, might as well go to bed. In the stillness, we find the noise in our own minds. In the stillness, perhaps we feel our hearts beating too fast. The fears and the anxieties that we've had. In the stillness, I know this every time I decide it's time for a winter's nap. In the stillness, our phones will alert us that there are other people out there who are not hibernating at that moment. It's good to be connected, unless it's perhaps a junk call. But it's good to know that there are real people who are trying to connect. Some of you know I really enjoy the poetry of Mary Oliver. There's a brief quote: "Sit now very quietly in some lovely wild place and listen to the silence. And I say that this too is a poem." Usually Mary Oliver writes a lot more than that. But we need these pointers. We need these pointers to say, go into the silence. I told a story in Spiritual Explorers this week, and some of the people there said, you have to tell that story. Our congregation needs to know you this way, Bob. So I will tell it. Maybe not as eloquently as I did in the circle, but I went to a Quaker college, the Society of Friends, Earlham College, out in Richmond, Indiana, and I would go to the Unitarian Universalist student group, but I also went to the Young Friends group, and on Sundays I would go to the all-college worship, which was, in the Quaker tradition, mostly unprogrammed. Maybe a little music in there or reading, but we would sit in silence and we would wait for the Spirit to move us. And here I am, this Unitarian Universalist, brought up in a humanist, atheist congregation of Unitarian Universalists who didn't even have a minister, because at some point in their history they decided they'd let go of their minister and buy a new building instead with the money. And I'm a Unitarian Universalist, stubborn, sitting in that silence, looking at the parquet floor. All right, I'll sit here. And there was a moment, weeks, months into this practice, this weekly practice, if I was up on Sunday morning, of sitting and listening to that silence. And then I was moved to speak. And I don't remember exactly what I was moved to say, but it was an urge to stand up and say a particular thing. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, I'm a Unitarian Universalist. There is no way I'm standing up and saying, you can't make me do this. And the urge came again for me to stand up and say whatever was wise in that moment. And I'm like, nope. And a moment later, the person in the bench over there stood up and said the exact same thing that I was being urged to say. So I'm sitting in silence, finding something fill me with wisdom, and I refuse to share it. And I learned from that experience. One, the Quakers ruined me for my atheism. Two, my prayers are almost always spirit of love and life, because I don't have the sense of the Jesus, the God, whatever, other than through this Spirit that flows through everyone and the inner light in everyone. And I also came to a humble sense that, you know what? I am not the center of the universe as much as my late adolescent self might have thought. And if I don't go and do what I'm supposed to do, then somebody else may be moved to do it, and the wisdom will come forward. And you may find that I lead worship in this way as well. I ask our worship associates to help find the words of wisdom for service or whatever else. In the dark of winter, please, I ask you, might you come to a moment in which you have had so much experience of waiting in the silence that you hear something moving you. And if you don't, maybe wait around to hear it out loud from someone else around you who's taking the time, the real time and effort to meditate and place themselves in an open spiritual place in the dark of winter. Mary Oliver, I'll close it with a poem of hers. Lines written in the days of growing darkness, it says at the front of the poem. Every year, we've been witness to it, how the world descends into a rich mash in order that it may resume. And therefore, who would cry out to the petals on the ground to stay, knowing, as we must, how the vivacity of what was is married to the vitality of what will be? I don't say it's easy, but what else will do if the love one claims to have for the world be true? So let us go on cheerfully enough, this and every crisping day, though the sun be swinging east, and the ponds be cold and black, and the sweets of the year be doomed. Blessings on all. Thank you. Our closing hymn is number 209, O Come, You Longing, Thirsty Souls.
Yourself on empty air, why not be satisfied? For everywhere a feast is spread, that's always at our side. For as the rain and snow come off, fall not in vanity, but for this purpose water to feed humanity. So shall the word of Spirit serve as seed within our home, that we may bear so rich a yield as brings the harvest home. We shall go with peace secure, and live in joy sublime. The hills outside will burst with song, the trees will clap in time. The rush of thorns and nettles grow, a bay tree and a pine shall sign for us the eternal rain that makes the world shine.
Some of you may recognize that hymn is a play on Isaiah 55 and its message. Go out to this world that slowly is returning with light, and before we know it, will be noisy with spring, bursting with flower, fragrance. Go out into this world in which the trees are bare, in which the world is more gray than green. And go into yourself. Find that inner light, that spark, whatever it is that you call it, to rejuvenate yourself in what you do in this world. For though we take away this light at the front of our service, though we take away the light at the front of this service, it's not taken out from each of our glowing, glorious beings. Go out into the world in love and return again with joy to this place. Blessed be.